Today we'll be talking about gINT and the Datgel Toolbox. My name is Phil Wade. I'm the founder of Datgel. I'm a geotechnical engineer, and initially I worked in geotechnical consulting, but subsequently for most of my career I've been involved in geotechnical data management software. And I've been a major contributor to AGS formats around the world, in Australia, Singapore, and I sit on the working group in the UK as well. And I have been involved in defining requirements for gINT in the past, and I am the product manager and lead developer of Datgel software products. So Datgel, we are an independent company. Our primary business is developing add-ins to gINT, and we also are a reseller of gINT, and we provide consulting and training services around gINT as well. I'm based in Singapore, in Asia. gINT is owned by Bentley Systems. It brings the core functionality of the solution we'll be talking about today. And it has either an Access or an SQL Server backend, and has a report generating engine, and it's a popular product. In excess of 8,000 licenses are in use around the world. So together, gINT and Datgel, the overall solution, our goal is to help you process and manage all types of geotechnical data, or testing data, in one place. So having it all in one single source of truth database makes things more efficient, eliminates double data entry of information, and we also provide really high quality reporting tools to present the information. So gINT is the core, as you can see in the middle there. The Datgel DGD tool add-in sits around that. That's our major product, most popular product. We have a number of other tools which make up the Datgel Toolbox, which we'll define a bit more later. Some utility tools, and the new Datgel Acquisition mobile app, which we'll touch on at the end of our talk today. And gINT also, apart from the main program, has gINT Civil tools, and this sort of lays out how the system is installed. So what's on the top sort of half of the screen is what you install on your desktop computer, and the databases can sit either on the same computer or on a server as well. So how does the data get in? Sort of the flow is you can sit there at your desktop computer, at your laptop, and type the information in. You could use a full Windows tablet computer. You could use a mobile app like Datgel Acquisition, be it iOS or Android or Windows. You could import data from formats that are supported, such as the CPT formats, the Datgel CPT tool, and it supports. And you can import lab data, but that needs to be in a format that gINT can read. So that may need to be pre-processed to make it efficient. When you enter data, especially the material descriptions, you have an option. Do you wish to use the blob model, which is the top half of the screen, where we have a paragraph? You can see there's some formatting and grammatical errors there. So there's quite a potential for sort of typos, or less options for typos, but still possible. On the bottom half of the screen, we have the component description, which allows you to have, well, there are different columns to different parts of the description, and then the software pulls that together into a formatted sentence or paragraph, capitalizations and commas and so on. Now you also have the option to use SQL Server. Now that's only with gINT Professional Plus, the highest product that gINT is available under. And this will allow you to have gigabytes of data in one database, where with Access, you can only really have 1 gigabyte database sizes. Otherwise, it will get too bloated and basically stop working. Once it's 2 gigabytes, that's the official limit. And this allows you to have all your projects in one database, or maybe have a mega project where you have just a lot of data for one project. And it also deals with coordinate systems and calculates latitude, longitude for all the boreholes that you assign a coordinate system to. Now, once the data is in, then it will calculate as you type, as you click save on each value, each record. So, for example, then mostly this is what the Datgel add-ins do. It'll calculate things like N value or RQD percentages or lab results, situ test results, like CPTs or instrumentation data. So ultimately, once you've entered the raw readings, it calculates, and then the results are sitting in the database. And then the reports reference the data sitting in the database. So the reports do very little calculations. And of course, the same data can then be exported to AGS format because it's sitting in the database. So here's a sort of series of standard reports that come with Datgel's add-ins to gINT. So from log reports and graphs to histograms, maps, cross sections, these are all sorts of things you can just immediately use out of the box, put your logo on. Yes, you can customize things a bit if you wish, but it's not necessary. You can also do some levels of data analysis. So we can compare two locations and the results of those two locations. You could plot data showing design lines and minimum requirements in various forms, like in this case, depth on the right. You also see on the left, we have requirement lines, those stepped lines in the CPT graph chart. Also, for many people, after logs, making a section is their primary need. So in gINT, that's called a fence. I know some people might call it a profile. So it allows you to present the factual data. You can see their bar charts and ranges of test results and interpretations, and soil types. And also, you can edit the fence after it's produced, and that's what I've done here. I drew the lines that you see there. I added the words like rock and fill in the gINT CAD editor. So this example can be produced by the Datgel Fence and Map tool, which we'll talk about more later. Now, on the next slide, you'll see that you don't have to manually draw surfaces. They can be modeled inside of gINT Civil Tools and exported into normal gINT or in other software like Golden Software Surfer and Rockworks and others, and imported into gINT again and presented on sections by where you cut through the 3D surface. It shows where you cut it, the line. And you can show many surfaces on the same section. So it's quite a simplistic example. In combination, you can also use alignments. So this could be the center line of a road or a tunnel or a dam, or just across the section, across a building excavation, deep excavation. And that can then just be used as a baseline for cross sections. And you can do you could have seen the data in the database. You can also do calculations against these alignments, and also display data. We can also present geophysics data and other longitudinal sort of alignment data using fence strips. So we don't do any sorts of analysis with this geophysics data with gINT. We just present the information. So gINT Civil Tools, as I've alluded to, is part of gINT, but it's a different installation. So it's part of the license of gINT, but it's got its own installation. Essentially, it's the majority of the MicroStation program rebranded, called gINT Civil Tools, and the same toolbar is available in some of Bentley's civil design products. So it allows you to connect to a gINT database and plot data. Actually, let's talk about it here. So it allows you to make a 2D map, connect to Bing Maps and other GIS data. You can connect to multiple gINT databases or one SQL Server database and plot all the projects or multiple projects. You can display DWG and DGN files and DXF files. You can connect to shape files and other GIS data. You can make them transparent, and you can ultimately come up with a drilling plan, and that can be written back to your gINT database for use on site. And you can produce maps out of here as well, 2D maps. Now, after then you go and do the drilling and do the site investigation and enter the data into gINT. And then you can display the boreholes in 3D, and you can then export similar presentation to what you see in this video to 3D PDF. So this can form part of your deliverable to your customer in a 3D PDF format. And you can export this to BIM files, the format that Bentley has is called iModel, and LandXML, I should say. So LandXML surfaces are what you can import into gINT, back into normal gINT. You can also, this is some examples of the presentations I've developed in the past, where you can show disks and 3D bar charts, and there's also do spheres and different colors of different geological units. So you can make a template. So I have made a template, and I've included it in the DGD tool product files, which you can then utilize if you have the DGD tool to present this example. Some more examples of what you can present. So gINT interops with many software products and, by file import and exports and so on. I think some of the more interesting ones is like it has an add-in to ArcGIS, to ArcMap. It can export to AGS format if you use a library in a project which is designed for that, and correspondence files. It's all going to be a match. And it can export PDFs there's an inbuilt PDF creator, which allows you to automate the creation of bookmarks and other things. So there are 3 products in the gINT range. There's gINT Logs, which uses an access database and only has the logs tab and output, so only can produce log reports, which is good as, say, a larger company as a second license, or a very small company, that's all you really need. gINT Professional has an access database, has all the report styles, so graphs and fences as well. You can write VBA code and import and export all the formats, so including AGS format, which is often the deciding factor for many people. And also, the other common deciding factor is it has fence diagrams. And this includes gINT Civil Tools, where gINT Logs does not include gINT Civil Tools. And finally, gINT Professional Plus. This has all the functionality of gINT Professional, but also supports SQL Server. So I described that a little earlier in our presentation. And it includes gINT Civil Tools. Of course, price goes up as you head down the page there. So all the examples, or most of the examples I've shown so far, are from Datgel's add-ins to gINT. But now we're going to specifically talk about each add-in. Here's a bit of a list of all the add-ins we offer, and we'll go through the details. So firstly, let's mention that Datgel has a cloud-hosted identity provider and a licensing system. So, and our identity provider allows you to have use one username and password to log into our licensing system, our website, and our support ticket system. And so the way to make a user account with Datgel is to register on datgel.com, www.datgel.com. And if your company has licenses in your country, because you'll have to put your address in, you will be automatically added to that site and be able to access the full version licenses. If you don't, and you wish to trial the software for a particular product you don't have a license for in your country, then you can go to the trial download page and download a trial then. And a temporary license of 14 days will be assigned to your individual user account. So each person needs to download the trial to activate a trial license for a given product. Now, when you use the software on a full version basis, all bases actually, it takes a 10-minute lease of the license at a time. And if gINT is still open after the 10 minutes is up, then it will lease another 10 minutes. If gINT is closed, then it won't be renewed because gINT's not open to do it. You can check out a license for up to 90 days or to the limit of your current support and maintenance. So you must have Datgel support and maintenance in order to check out a license. And that limits how long you can check it out for. We have one installer for our desktop applications where you can check which options you want to install, or it doesn't really hurt if you just install everything. It just won't have a license for it. Won't run. And there are command line options that allow you to push this out on an automated basis to many computers. A couple of years ago, we developed this new sort of internal thing called Datgel Workbench, which allows us to develop all our products in one library and project. And when we want to release, this product will make a copy of the libraries and projects and everything and all the other related files, delete everything that shouldn't be there for each product, so that then the CPT tool library and project only has the CPT tool tables and reports and so on, where the toolbox has basically everything. And in the same vein, we can produce packages of products that each customer has. So say you have the CPT tool, the DGD tool, and the photo tool, and the lab tool standard, then you can get the standard library by download because it's getting made automatically. But even better, where for most of our customers, we've configured a custom set of gINT files can be generated automatically every time you make a new version with your library, with your logo and your custom reports, potentially, if we develop them for you. And so it's generated and put on our website automatically for you to download every time we release a new set of gINT files. So this means we can really help our customers adopt the latest version very efficiently with a minimum cost for everyone and time input from us. And I hope that for some of our customers who are doing that, it's been very efficient. You want to get involved and have your custom gINT files made automatically. If you're an existing user, we'll just need to discuss the merging costs. So to the exact, each specific product, the Datgel DGD tool is our most popular product by quantity and I guess by revenue. It is the bread and butter of gINT, use of gINT, right? So it's a database with a place to put all types of data. It supports the full range of AGS 4.1.1 and AGS, the other versions of AGS you see there. It has example log reports for many different standards and locations like offshore and different countries. Has hundreds of graph reports and some example fence reports and histograms and tables and maps. So for many of our customers, for some of our customers, this is the only thing they buy from us because this is what they hoped gINT would do out of the box, but it doesn't. Because you have to spend a great deal of time building this whole suite of reports yourself if you otherwise did it yourself. There is a program behind it which calculates things like SPT and RQD and like some other basic things like that. There's some tools to speed things up for importing and exporting data, create surfaces and so on. For example, here on the right, this is for DCPs, calculates correlations for allowable bearing capacity and in situ CBR, certain methods which you can decide if you like them, for example. And there are two editions, the logs edition, which matches what you might do with gINT logs, and the professional edition, which matches what you would do with gINT Professional or Professional Plus. So we've been adding new features over the last year or two. This is a bit of a summary of them. So some more options on when to sort of create samples and more specification material calculations and a suite of some extra reports with various options or more options that people wanted. That's an ongoing one, definitely maintaining this product, maintaining all our products. The CPT tool is our initial first product we built. It allows you to import many different data file formats en masse. Like you can import 50 files at once, especially with Access SQL Server. It's really pretty unlimited, or reasonably unlimited. Nothing's unlimited entirely. Calculates correlations, saw behavior types, and dissipation test analysis, and so on. Here's some example reports there. So there's hundreds of graphs and sections and log reports to choose from. So what sets this apart from our other options on the market is we build a database of all your data, like hundreds of tests, thousands of tests in one database. You could set parameters and recalculate the entire database to have different results, potentially. And you can export en masse or individually data to AGS format or GEF format. And you can produce en masse reports, hundreds of test reports, the click of a button. Yes, it will take some time to generate them, but it will do it. So this is about managing lots of, if you have a lot of data, there's nothing else like this. It can really do a great job at it. If you want to do one test, yeah, you can find a cheaper option that does equally as good a job. That's for sure. Some of the things that are new, again, this is very something we're really working on regularly. A lot of people asking for features and so on. So I think one of the most important recent things we developed was an iteration before right at the beginning, before anything, and then one halfway through the derived parameters. That second one allows us to calculate bulk unit weight from a formula so that you can then define bulk unit weight automatically based upon the soil behavior type, like an estimation of the basic estimation of soil behavior type, not the one that's actually presented on the log, but something before that. We also added the option to define how the fine or coarse boundary is defined, where initially we only did it based on soil behavior type 1, which wasn't very good for some situations, especially in the North Sea. So people wanted to be able to set an IC method of value that would define it depending on their geology. So that's an option. We've improved some correlation presentations and some import options, and we created reports with total force recently and changed the way we're doing abbreviations for ISO. We're sort of partway through doing this one on the right, the correlation parameters by geology unit. So I've done a couple. It will be in the next version we release, the ones we have developed, which I think will release one this week, a new version. And I'm partway through developing this, something to do with bulk unit weights to present it. That's kind of a minor thing. In the pipeline, ongoing, we're ready to do this Robinson now. We've done these different iterations. Robinson 2016, that's sort of stopped us for a while. So I could get on with that. That's the next priority. And we're looking at seismic cone as well. It seems to be quite a common test now that people want. Now, how far we go with that is a question I haven't decided. Moving on, the output tool. This is a great companion to gINT in general, but all of our other tools in general, particularly. So it allows you to define a suite of reports that you wish to PDF or print or preview, which you probably would preview, and produce a hierarchy of bookmarks like you see in the picture there on the right, if you wish to do that. Like in that case, it's grouping it by borehole, by point ID. And you can save these configurations in the library or project or even on your local computer. And you can import, export these via an XML file. And you can save a very large configuration now. That's one of the new features. And another new feature is we've allowed you to check a box to close gINT at the end of the run. Say, it's going to take 5 hours. You want it to get to close overnight, so you don't leave the program open. Maybe you don't want the database to be left open so the backup will work properly, or you don't want to use the license, or whatever the reason is, that functionality is now there. So some of the great examples I've used this for in the past are, I had a whole lot of monitoring reports I wanted to print, and I would configure this massive configuration and save it. And then every month I would just rerun it, but I'd change the dates, the date ranges via these user report variable options. So you'd have these master user report variable options, which get passed into all the reports. On a day-to-day basis, we have customers using this to produce a suite of reports grouped by point ID, which is what that I mentioned earlier. So like non-chord log, the chord log, the core photos, or multiple different CPT logs presenting different types of data for a given point ID, and producing bookmarks like you see there. So it can save an enormous amount of time as needed. The Fence and Map tool is a very advanced suite of fence reports that we all these different options and page sizes designed. Here's some of many of the options that are defined already. And most recently, we've defined a few more presentation options for CPTs, which are not the CPT tool, but just the Fence and Map tool. So there's hundreds, or not hundreds, but there's like 46 reports, different page sizes. And you can have scale bars and automatic legends and graphics and so on. So it's used very widely by people who have the DGD tool. You must have the DGD tool in order to use this product. The photo tool is, well, it's an efficiency tool. Sure, you can present photographs manually in other ways, and they'll look good. But how long does it take? Like you want to manually add 100 photos into a Word document or Excel or PowerPoint or however you decide to do them. That's a lot of manual placing of photographs. Might get confused which one's which. You might mislabel them quite easily. So this is a different approach. This is more a sort of a data-driven approach where you save all your JPEG files in a folder with a naming convention like this. It's very easy to know what you're opening, right? You run the add-in menu command, which will then launch this form here. It will read the file names and write to the database a list of the boxes that are there. And then you then go print the reports. And you can print scores of pages, or hundreds of pages even potentially, though there is a limit on the file size, to be honest. Eventually, you have to have a lot of pages, but there is a limit. And you can present core photos and test bit photos and sample photos and downhole sketches like you see there, and you can cut up the core boxes and display them in columns. So there's lots of presentation options. It can save a lot of time. Now, for those who are users, one of the great new features we've added in the last year or so is there's now an add-in menu command to create the folders to store the photos. So that was one of the most common things, people misnaming the folders. I mean, getting the file names isn't so hard, but getting the folder names is a little bit, people just would miss an S or something like that, or put an S in they shouldn't, things like that. So there's just a nice nicety that we've added, and a few more reports have been developed recently too. The monitoring tool, this is an alternative to having enormous Excel files where you have, megabytes, 15, 20, 30 megabyte Excel files with all your settlement markers and vibrating white piezometer data in them. You can have it all in one database. Got a system where we've set up all the formulas for, say, vibrating wires. You can import inclinometers from RST format, but if you want some others, let us know. And so the data is there, it's calculated, you can present it, and you can export it to AGS format if you need to as well. And their installation logs, reports. The Advanced In Situ tool does packet tests to this one method, Holsby 1976, and zone load tests as well, which is like a big plate load test. And if you need some other tests, we can have a chat about what you need. The lab tool is in the same database as the DGD tool. Like I have everything in one database. You can calculate lab count, all types of lab tests. Not quite all, but most types of lab tests. So pretty much everything but advanced tracks yet. So we have not done like CIU and CID, but we have done up to UU triaxial. And of course we can do more, just haven't got there yet. We have direct shear, we have odometer, and so on. And all the compaction testing, classification testing. And so I think this is perfect if you're doing offshore geotechnical work where you want to do some lab testing on the vessel and you want to do all in one system. This is great. That's when you can use it here, there, and then back in the office, everyone's got the results. And the lab on shore probably wouldn't use this, but you can import the results in here and do some presentation of the more advanced tests and summarize the data as well. Sure, you can use this for a normal lab can use it too, but it doesn't have every bell and whistle that you might in a full-blown LIMS. Here's some presentation options. The security tool, Enterprise, only works with SQL Server, and it is designed to control who can edit data in an SQL Server database. It's based upon your Active Directory user account. So are you able to work on project A, or only certain people are allowed to access project A in an SQL Server, but you can have access to project B. Once the data for a given borehole has been approved by the project manager, maybe the data entry guy is not allowed to edit it anymore. So that's the sort of things that this can do. So we've gone through almost all the products that Datgel offers. You can purchase all the gINT add-in products in one package called Datgel Toolbox. So you can see the list there, the advanced in situ tool, CPT, DGD tool, so on. All of those products are available in this one package product, and it includes gINT technical support. So you can buy one thing from Datgel, one line item or two line items only, and you get all the products you need from us and support. So it does not include the Security Tool Enterprise Server and Process Affinity Manager, which are more utility server products. And this does come with a logs option if that's what you need. Okay, let's have a look at gINT. So I'll just go over to the gINT program. I'm going to run it on my cloud computer. Here we are. Going to use our full Datgel Toolbox library and project. It has everything in it. It's even our development library and project. Something we don't release to everyone. So this is what gINT looks like. I will hide the tabs. And you can see we have table groups on the tree diagram, and underneath those are the tables. So the project table has things like the client name, the coordinate system. So each project in gINT should have one coordinate system. And here we have a list of all the projects. Point IDs. And we can look at one borehole, let's say, as an example. This one. So we have samples, strata descriptions. I will stick with this one, but this is the strange standard one, but I won't stick with it. So different like different parts of the description have lookups. We do have British standard as well, the component description, which maybe more people in the meeting love that. For example, there's that. And say in situ testing like SPT. So we can delete that and save it again. See it recalculated based on the reading. So this is a British standard SPT with 6 blow counts. But you can enter you don't say you would have 3 blow counts, you wouldn't enter the second box here. of each bit. I got a CPT data. So we'll talk about the colors of the cells now. The yellow fields are required, and normally that's gINT sets that color. I don't tend to use it. Green fields are calculated, so they would be overwritten if there's a calculation normally. Brown fields are they're values like raw readings that you would import or type. And this brownie green field, like QC, it can be calculated. That's why it's like that. Say you have a mechanical cone, which is not that common, but anyway, it can be calculated. And the orange fields are metadata, and there's another ones, purple fields or AGS format, sort of specific fields. So we can see here that there's a lot of calculated fields for CPTs. So behavior types and other derived parameters. And on correlation data table, we have the correlations, most of the correlations, there are more elsewhere. And we can see down the bottom here has some definition of what is the formula, though this isn't truly the formula that's used, it's more like just a hint caption. And the actual formulas are defined in the Datgel formula tool. Now this is going to take a little bit of time to load because there's a lot going on. So while that's happening, I will just have a look at some of the reports here. Keep things exciting. So we're talking about the CPT tool at the moment. So the CPT tool, this PDF can be downloaded off Datgel's website, and it is generated by the output tool. And it presents examples of all the different presentation options that the CPT tool has. So these ones here are the dynamic logs where you can pick the columns you want to see, through to the fixed logs that we have down here. Other ones. So this is one of my favorite ones I commonly use in my demos, but we won't actually run one today. It's not really enough time. And we've got fences and graphs. And dissipation tests as well. I imagine this is finished now. Yeah, probably finished a while ago. So bulk unit weight, here we go. It's a good example. So I've mentioned that we now calculate that using the formula tool. So iteration 0 is the one where it is halfway through the derived parameters before total stress is needed, before total stress is calculated. And so we're referencing different fields in the database here. And I probably just could make this a bit bigger. And here's the actual formula that's calculating the expression. So this is used. So you can sort of see there's some logical syntax there you can make sense of. So you can review this, check it for yourself. You can write new ones and so on in the formula tool. So the CPT tool is not a fixed animal. You can create columns, you can add formulas, you can create new reports because it's gINT. And the way we designed the CPT tool allows you to add to it within a framework, right? It's not total free for all. Okay, let's look at a lab calculation. So I think good one is the UU triaxial. So this time I do go to odometer. It's different. Switch over there. This thing we see here is like there's two types of graphs that we normally have. There's your elevation graph and the depth graph. And for example, you can show many QCs. Q. Somewhere there's one where you can show many QCs on the same page. Anyway, Sure, let's finish now. Get back. All right, let's go to the right test. Okay, and you can see it's calculated the data. Maybe we won't actually calculate it all again. I could probably calculate this example. And I guess I can preview this. Show something. You can preview from gINT input as well. I see the sun has gone down. Should have turned my, anyway. Oh, you can still see me. Should turn the light on. All right, so there's an example there. Oh, yes, this happened in the other demo. Well, anyway, end of the gINT demo now. So we'll go back to the PowerPoint and continue. So the Datgel products are sold with a couple of different types of licenses. Firstly, you can choose between a country-based or an international-based license, primarily. And some products you need to buy the same number as you buy of gINT or use as gINT. That's what this country seat concept is about. So the toolbox and the DGD tool and so on. Once with the X here, you must have the same number of seats as you have of gINT. Where the country network or international network licenses, you can buy one license and you could have 20 gINT licenses, right? Because they don't really count the use of the library. So fundamentally on the seat license, we're counting the use of the gINT library. On this one, we're just counting the use of the calculations program. Now we have an annual perpetual license with an annual support and maintenance subscription. Or if you buy a perpetual license, the second onwards license can be a subscription license. So Datgel also provides professional services. So we run training courses, we can do consulting, and so here's a bit of a list of sort of things we can do, but basically any type of software development that you're looking for, we can probably do it. And particularly around gINT is our main skill set. This brings us to the current product we're working on. So right now we are working on a product called Datgel Acquisition. It is a mobile app. Currently we're built it for Windows and Android, but we can build for iOS. It's a cross-platform technology. You can work on a tablet or a mobile, or a phone, smartphone, although it's better on a tablet. And it's quite flexible and user-definable. So essentially, we create a configuration file which has the design in it, the UI design. So the tables and the fields and so on that you see there. And in this case, this is the point table. So you can generate that by reading a gINT library and project. Or if you really want to, you can sit there and type it manually in and configure it, or generate it from gINT and then edit it. So it basically makes a JSON file that you can open up and edit. And so there's a desktop app for management and to export data to Excel and CSV and ultimately to AGS format directly. And then the configuration and the data is syncing. It's in the cloud. It's a cloud database where the mobile app collects data and every 5 minutes, I think, 2 minutes, I forgot now. It syncs the data up to the cloud database. So you're always backing up the data when you're on the internet. But it can work offline as well without internet. And so then people in the office, like within 10 minutes of you collecting the data, could download the data and view it. So we are still under development. I expect we might be ready for beta testing in December and January. And it's, yeah, like I said, it's really, it can work with gINT, but you don't need gINT. So in the future, if you don't want to use gINT, you can still use this, and we will export these data files out, and you can import it into other products in the future. So it's optional gINT companion. So what's your way forward? If you're interested in using, if you want to trial gINT, you don't have gINT, you can drop me an email or email support@datgel.com, but obviously my email address in the next slide. And we can provide you with the installers for gINT and explain how to use the trial. Now, if you want to use Datgel software, all you have to do is go to Datgel's website, register with a company email address, not Gmail, and you can then go to the trial download page and download the trial. So you've got to download two things. You've got to download the Toolbox installer and the product package that you want. So if you want the CPT tool, you get the CPT tool package and the Datgel Toolbox installer, because that's the program. You need both. And refer to the quick start guides for each product. Again, on the top of the trial page, we have the links for the various quick start guides. If you have any questions, you can drop us an email. But first of all, have a look at the docs with the extensive user guides on each product. We've got some YouTube videos on how to use each product as well on our YouTube channel. And I will post this video on the YouTube channel as well and on our website in due course. And if you have any questions, this is the time to jump in. And in the chat, I think, is the easiest place. You can fire away, ask some questions. I can demonstrate things, and we'll go from there. So while you're thinking about that, I think the first question I often get is, how do I set the scale? I want to customize the QC maximum scale in the CPT tool. And so there's a few ways to do that. In a given project, if you just want to set it for this project and this overall for this project, you need to go to the CPT configuration project symbology. Where's that one? Project symbology. And cone resistance, and say you want the maximum scale to be 60 MPa. That's where you type it. Okay, so first question. Is gINT discontinued? Not yet. It's another 2 years away. Bentley said they will stop selling it and supporting it in 2 years' time. But you can continue to use gINT if you have perpetual licenses going forward, because you have perpetual licenses, and gINT hasn't changed for a couple of years now, so it's a pretty stable program. And I don't think the other options that are available on the market can do what gINT does. So if you've invested in gINT, I think you can continue to use it for a few years at least. Any other questions? I think another one I often get is, where can I set NKT for under-end shear strength? The most common correlations, you probably want to do with CPTs. So you can do that at many levels, three levels in the CPT tool. The most fine-grained level is with depth. So you can enter NKTs in these fields here I'm highlighting. Though I haven't in this example, but you can. So in this depth range of 2.9 to 3.1, I could set it to be 16 or something. The other option is at the point level. You can set it up here, these fields. And overall, for the whole project, you can set it in the project correlation parameters so that all the point IDs, regardless of depth, would use these values, which is what I've actually done, right, in these three actually. So some things are in the library, but the correlation in some other parts of the CPT tool, there's a default in the library, but not in this example. It's always in the project. All right, so I think that brings us to the end of our meeting today. Let me just bring up. So if you have any questions, or you want to follow up with me, that's my email address. And we have a question. Okay, let's see. Is there a... okay, dynamic probing. Probably not exactly what you're asking for, but we have what's designed for DCPs, like the handheld sort of probes, but not for the mechanical probes as such, but it's in here. So you can enter things like this, and it will calculate, like, sum up the blows. This may be sufficient for you, but this is designed for the handheld sort of DCP, where there is a table for dynamic probe here, which does not calculate anything. We must have some data, sample data here. But I don't know what calculations you need for DP. Probably a few things. But it's not difficult for us to write it if you want to provide some requirements. Okay, well, we'll wrap up our meeting. Thanks for your attention today, and I hope to hear from you in the next weeks. See how you're going. Have a great day.